Boy, do I got a top 10 for you. What is up, guys? It's the Box Office Bookie back again with another video. Today I'm going to talk about my top 10 favorite movies of all time. Now, people are probably rolling their eyes. Oh, great, another top 10 movie list. That's great, but I feel like I'm a big fan of films and I want to see how my top 10 stacks up against your top 10. So once the video is over, comment below. Let me know what you think of my top 10 and your thoughts regarding my movies that I picked. So, starting at number 10, we have Top Gun Maverick. Usually there's sequels that every now and then go above and beyond the original. Top Gun Maverick is that film, and I recently just put this in my top 10 only because after giving it a second rewatch, this movie has everything I wanted from a Top Gun film that expands from the mythos of the original and bring it back with a vengeance for the second. This movie goes full throttle. Tom Cruise does all his practical own stunts. This movie does seem all practical. The cinematography makes you feel like you're inside the cockpit during the action scenes. Everyone brings their A game on this movie. I feel like that there isn't really much of a flaw in the film. The story is simple, but there's nothing wrong with a simple story. It gets to the point. It's moving. There's never a dull moment. Everything is fantastic. The score, Tom Cruise always gives it his all in his movies, even though he is batshit fucking crazy. Top Gun Maverick is one of those movies that I think that everyone should have the chance to see, because there is a moment where most of these movies don't come around too often. And because of Top Gun Maverick coming out, blockbusters still have a chance to shine, and they're not those generic superhero movies that come out every 2 or 3 months with the same bag of tricks that Top Gun Maverick doesn't have. Top Gun Maverick is a movie of cinematic quality. It is one of those movies that hit $1 billion at the box office and was nominated for multiple awards, and there's a reason why. It's because it's fucking amazing. Go check it out. At number 9, we have David Fincher's Seven, one of my favorite detective movies of all time. It is a murder thriller with a horror hybrid element to it. Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman, Kevin Spacey, Gwyneth Paltrow, Arlie Ermey, they're all in this film. It's a stacked ensemble. The movie is absolutely riveting. It is a detective piece that centers around a serial killer that murders based off the 7 deadly sins. Now, to me, this movie is more of a very modernized, gritty noir film. It has those elements. It mostly takes place in the rain. Shot, a lot of it is also grimy looking, dimly lit. The atmosphere is just amazing in this film. That ending has lived on so far in infamy. It is one of the best endings of all time, just because you don't know what the hell that is in that box up until the ending, when Kevin Spacey lets Brad Pitt know his master plan, and unfortunately, that master plan has severe consequences to Brad Pitt. Seven is one of those movies that does stand the test of time for what it's worth. The story is amazing. The climax is great. For a movie that doesn't have much action, it does keep you on your feet from start to finish. And it's a great piece of movie-making cinema from David Fincher. It is still, to this day, David Fincher's best film. You could fight me on that. I just feel like it has everything top to bottom, and which is why it's in my top 10. At number 8, one of my personal favorites, my favorite horror genre film of all time, John Carpenter's Halloween. John Carpenter's Halloween pretty much invented the slasher film. I know Black Christmas came out before that, and that was a slasher flick, but Halloween is what put slasher films on the map. And it also has one of the best serial killers of all time in Michael Myers. He still has movies coming out to this day. The newer trilogy, even though it started out with a bang, kind of, ended, unfortunately, I hate to say it, but horrendous with the way the writing and the execution, the story went. It could have surpassed all expectations if they actually followed what all the fans wanted. Jamie Lee Curtis started out her film career with this movie. Nick Castle, who is Michael Myers, is the Shape. James Drew Courtney comes in the close first, but I gotta give it to Nick Castle. He is what made Michael Myers so damn creepy, with the way he walked, the way he moved, the way he crept in the shadows. You never know when he was gonna strike. The cinematography was amazing. It really captures that horror movie element that you just want to watch every single Halloween. I can never get bored of this. Donald Pleasance, I miss him. He was one of the best actors of our time. he really does sell it as Samuel Loomis in that movie, and it shows why he stuck around to keep doing these Halloween films. Music, the score, you just can't get that main theme out of your head. It's iconic in its own way. Even though Halloween has come out in the 1970s, the late 1970s, it still came out with, to this day, I believe 13 or 14 movies in the Halloween franchise. A lot of them suck. I can't even say they suck. They're just guilty pleasures of mine. But it is my favorite horror movie franchise. We'll see if they reboot it again, most likely because it brings in the money. Then number 8 is Halloween. At number 7, we have Matt Reeves' The Batman. Now, before I start going into this, people are probably like, well, where's The Dark Knight? Dark Knight is one of my favorite superhero movies of all time. However, my favorite Batman movie is Matt Reeves' The Batman. I feel like they nailed it. I know a lot of people are going to flip out about that, but hear me out. Here's my reasoning. Growing up, I always was a fan of the animated series Batman. And Dark Knight may have hit some elements from the animated series. However, it was not reminiscent of my animated series Batman when I was watching The Dark Knight. Heath Ledger was astounding, by the way, as the Joker. Christian Bale is a great Batman, but to me, The Batman is the ultimate Batman film. The Dark Knight is the ultimate comic book Batman blockbuster film. Two different iterations of Batman, nothing wrong with that. However, I just prefer The Batman as my favorite movie. And, I was waiting for just a hard-boiled detective story that the Batman is known for. He is the world's greatest detective. I felt like we never saw any of those iterations from the past. We got it now, which was great. And the crazy thing is this is the opening first movie of the franchise. So if this keeps going the same way that it did after the movie, I feel like this could surpass Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. The score is great by Michael Giacchino. The writing is amazing by Matt Reeves, Matt Tomlin, and the cinematography is absolutely breathtaking. I don't know how it got snubbed by the Oscars. It was the best looking film of that year. But to me, this movie had it all. I never got bored. Acting was top notch. Colin Farrell as the Penguin's great. Paul Dano as the Riddler. Definitely up there as one of the creepiest, more sinister villains in comic book history. He may just be underrated to many, but to me, I feel like he nailed that egocentric maniac that the Riddler is portrayed into the comics. But I just can't wait to see what the sequel brings. Hopefully they bring Mr. Freeze into the mix. But yeah, number 7, The Batman. At number 6, we have James Cameron's Aliens. Now, again, just like Top Gun Maverick, sequel that surpasses the original in every way possible. The cinematography, the music, the scope, the acting, just the way they brought in the Marines for this movie as opposed to when the original Ridley Scott's Alien, there was one alien just, taking out Sigourney Weaver's crew. There's multiple aliens in this movie taking out a ton of people in the best way possible. So Aliens, I feel like the stake was much more higher in this movie as opposed to the original. You had a whole nest of aliens just looking to wipe out all of humanity. And Sigourney Weaver waking up from a coma, realizing that, many years have passed and she lost her daughter. And this movie brings that mother-daughter theme into the movie where she meets Newt, the childless, the parentless child who is running through the colony trying to escape these aliens, and Sigourney Weaver, being the badass that she is, decides to take out the queen at the end of the movie. One of the best villain showdowns in movie history. But Aliens is definitely one of those top blockbuster films that just has so much rewatchability to the movie. Everything is just great. There's so many good one-liners, including Bill Paxton's Game Over Man. I just found myself watching it over and over again each year. It's just one of those movies that you can't forget. And hopefully they do bring some new life into the Alien franchise. It definitely needs it. It wouldn't be a top 10 without having Terminator 2 on your list. Another James Cameron flick. He seems to know how to do some amazing films that just stand the test of time. Terminator 2, one of the best movies I've ever seen. Probably the best action movie of all time. Probably the best villain, one of the best villains of all time. This one just kills everything about the original in every way. And it's great because they do a twist that you don't see coming until you watch the movie. You think Arnold is still the villain. However, he is the guardian of John Carter throughout the movie, and they are trying to escape some hell-bent robot called T-1000, made of liquid metal who could shapeshift and turn into any inanimate object to kill his villains. The action is, amazing. I don't think it could be beat by anybody. Movies come close. Movies try to duplicate what made Terminator 2 so successful, but it just can't be unmatched. The score, the way the movie looks on film, just amazing. I could just, talk about this forever, just how good Terminator 2 is. I believe, when it comes to action films, you just need to create something so stunning and that makes and has so much of a wow factor to it that you just keep talking about it. And Terminator 2 is one of those movies that I just keep talking about over and over again. And even though it's number 5 on my list, it still could be matched with number 4, number 3, number 2, or even number 1. From 5 to 1 are just so close together. It's very subjective how I put my movies in a certain order, but Terminator 2, definitely the best action film. It sucks that after T2, the whole franchise went to shit. The most recent Terminator wasn't even that good. It was kind of just like a carbon copy of T2, trying to be T2, but failed miserably at trying to be T2. At number 4, Frank Darabont's The Shawshank Redemption, movie based off of Stephen King's short story. Shawshank Redemption has Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman, two amazing actors. Tim Robbins goes to jail for murdering his wife, and it pretty much showcases his life in prison alongside Morgan Freeman. And this movie just is so brilliantly acted that you just feel for these characters, even if you think they were convicted of things that they may have or have not done. You do feel for the characters and you sympathize with them. For a 2.5 movie, it feels like a half-hour film. It just runs so smooth. And the ending, is just one of those feel-good stories that triumphant. Even though it may seem not like an underdog film, it is an underdog film that just explores hope. The big theme of the movie is hope, and just aiming, no matter how shitty things get. Tim Robbins' character, Andy Dufresne, just goes through a whole ton of shit literally goes through a whole tunnel of shit, but it makes it clean on the other side, and it's just one of those big, giant, triumphant movies that stand the test of time. And again, big rewatchability for me. I could watch it at least 5 or 6 times a year. It just never gets old. It's just a great film, and I believe everyone who's watching this video right now probably seen it too, so it is a great film. At number 3, Michael Mann's Collateral. I feel like going through college in film school, you always have that one director that you idolize and watch his filmography over and over and over again. Michael Mann is my favorite director of all time. Nothing will separate me from that. I feel like he captures real life scenarios the best out of any movie director I've watched. Everything feels so real and intimate, and the way he sets up his scenes are just extraordinary. It's just flawless, brilliant, perfectly executed movie based on a hitman. What's very surprising is Tom Cruise playing a villain for one of the very first times, if not, he has played a villain in the past, but not like this. His character Vincent is just a stone cold killer. Nothing seems to get in his way. There is no obstacles. He's just on a mission to complete his contracts, and Jamie Foxx is that obstacle that gets in his way, as being the cab driver who has to drive him around killing all these people, and if not, it seems like Jamie Foxx will be on his hit list. Collateral does have some great elements, but I feel like what drew me into Collateral is just the story. I feel like it's perfectly written and very realistic as to what could happen in that situation. And Tom Cruise is just a smooth talker and cold-blooded killer in this movie that your jaw drops every time he is on scene and dispatches one of his enemies, including the club scene with the shootout. He's just he could tell he's very drawn into the role of Vincent, and that scene is one of the best shootouts in movie history, other than Heat, which I will get into soon. But go check out Collateral. It's a great film, great score. My whole top 10 is great film, great score, great cinematography, great editing. That's why it's my top 10. But Collateral is up there as number 3. At number 2, very left field movie. People will be like, well, what the fuck, how is this number 2? Road to Perdition by Sam Mendes. Road to Perdition is just an amazing, jaw-dropping historical piece based around a hitman again, Tom Hanks. Crazy how Tom Hanks would be a villain. I mean, yeah, he is a villain in this movie, let's not get it twisted. A villain who cares for his family and does whatever he takes to protect his family. This movie is just very stunning in the way it looks. It's just Great Depression era 1920s flick that captures the essence of the 1920s. You got, you know, those buggies that everyone's driving around, just old, you know, established looking film. You know, it's a great period piece that showcases Tom Hanks as playing a totally different role as what he's used to. He's usually, you know, used to playing fucking Woody or Forrest Gump, or, you know, nothing as cold and calculated as his character in Road to Perdition. Road to Perdition takes place in the 1920s, and Tom Hanks is a hitman for hire. He works for an Irish mafia family who sends him out for a situation, and his son sneaks into the back of his buggy only to watch his own father kill multiple men. From there, you know, a bunch of chaos ensues, and Tom Hanks has to put his family first over his job, and this movie is just fantastic. You know, I could watch this over and over again. People, you know, are probably shaking their head like, well, Terminator 2 destroys us in the action adventure department, but Road to Perdition just has a very great story. Tom Hanks, you know, as a villain, he's just, you know, superb. Paul Newman, Jude Law, and Daniel Craig. Forgot Daniel Craig's in this movie as the real villain of the film. But you definitely have to check out Road to Perdition. Definitely has been in my number 2 spot for a very long time. You know, we'll see if it gets moved, but as of right now, Road to Perdition is a great film. Check it out. Now that we're finally at the 1 spot, and I talked about Michael Mann prior, I am bringing up Michael Mann's masterpiece film, Heat, with Al Pacino, Robert De Niro. Ever since I saw this movie back when I was like 13, maybe a little bit younger, it is by far the ultimate movie. It showcases cops and robbers right down to the very finite detail of what it means to be a cop or a robber. And Robert De Niro and Al Pacino, one's a masterclass thief, the other one is a cop. Al Pacino's a cop, Robert De Niro's a thief, but they actually kind of live the same parallels in life. Both have miserable outside personal lives, but they're amazing at what they do, and they're fixated on their job to the best of their ability. And these two meet up and clash, and what people may call the best shootout in Hollywood history, which still to this day, I don't think it's been beat. I feel like this is just one of those movies that captures the elegance of filmmaking in every aspect. It's a damn shame why it was never nominated for any Oscars, which is crazy. But, you know, just Heat is that movie that delivers on all fronts. You got a crazy cast. You got Val Kilmer, Ashley Judd, Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, Tom Sizemore, Hank Azaria, John Voight. Everybody's in this damn movie, and they all deliver, and they all serve a purpose in this sprawling Los Angeles crime epic. It's, to this day, still stands the test of time. I just bought the new 4K remaster on it, even though I heard that it's not really a remaster, but still looks damn good on my TV. It's a damn shame that, you know, this movie was made in 1995, and it hurts to see all these actors aging and very old. You know, I read the new book, Heat 2, and I hope they do the movie, because the book is an amazing bookend. Not even a bookend, but it's a prequel as well to Heat. So I hope they make this movie somehow, you know, with all the movie magic, with how they did The Irishman. I think it's possible. But definitely check out Heat. That is my top 10. If you guys are fans of this channel, please subscribe to the Box Office Bookie today, and I'll catch you for the next one. Later.